Hey, welcome back to the MUA TV Makeup Department right here in beautiful Orlando, Florida. What we're going to do is we're going to continue with a little more bruising fun, and I'm going to do a bruise here on this young man's arm. This is Ryan Drake, right? And I'm going to show you one of the old-fashioned standard ways of doing bruises. This is with the orange stipple sponge, all right? And we can take and, for instance, we can do this to the sponge. All right, we can cut it around, get rid of all the edges like this first, just like this, all the way around. And then, once you have your edges gone, we can go in and very, very quickly just kind of round it out a bit, just like that. And then, I like squeezing it like this and going into it and cutting out some little pieces to even give it a little more texture. All right, a little more serration there, a little more uneven surface. Okay, and we can just trim, just like this, very quickly. Quick. Remember, this is not brain surgery, it's not rocket science. Anybody can do this. Just practice. All it takes is practice. All right, so now you have the sponge, okay? It's nicely trimmed. We're going to take a small amount of our lavender, okay? We're going to take it from here, all right, initially from here like so, onto the tissue to stabilize it and to remove the excess. And let's say we want to do a body bruise like this. All right, now notice how I'm doing. See how the serration of the sponge creates the look of broken capillaries beneath the surface of the skin. And I can go a little darker wherever I want it, okay? This is the old-fashioned way of doing it, but it sure works well. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this is that sometimes it will leave too much. It'll leave too much product on the surface of the skin. So what do? I come back with a piece of tissue just like this, and I blot it like that, and pull away any of that excess, pat it down, all right? Pat it down just like this. All right, so now we have a bit of a bruise there. We can actually go a little further, and we'll take a little bit of maroon, right? And we'll deepen this and make it more red. And notice how I'm moving the sponge as I pat, so that I get a very uneven amount. All right, I'm not just doing like this or rolling. I'm doing this, okay? And just like that. All right, and then once again, before I continue, I'm going to take and I'm going to blot, pull off the excess. The next stage is going to be a little red. I always go backwards. I like using the darker tones first, just like this, just like that, okay? All right, and then you can take the edge of the sponge. Sometimes the bruising is going to be very definite. You know, it's going to be really definite. Like, for instance, if somebody grabbed him really hard, if someone really grabbed him hard, what we do is we could take the sponge and we'll pull a little of this blood color, all right, a little bit of the blood color, and we'll put a little blood color in certain areas just to deepen it in those areas, all right, where the initial impact was, let's say, all right, just like that. Now I'm using the other side of the sponge to do that. Right. You can actually, as it ages, we can take a little gold olive, all right, a little gold olive, blot it on the tissue, and lightly go around the bruise, all right. You can even use a little gold olive around the bruise when it's new, when it's a fresh bruise, because it's migrating a bit. All right, and the blood is migrating slightly into those areas, but don't use too much, all right? Don't use too much of it. You can increase the amount of gold olive as the bruise ages. So there you have it, just like so. Now, you can then, you want this to last a while, remember, you can do these with transfers also. What I'm doing now is I'm blotting, just like this. I'm now going to take some fixer spray. This is Kryolan fixer spray, just like this, and put it on there, and it actually does two things. This is going to seal, it's going to seal it, as well as make it shiny. like that. If we want it to be a little shinier, we can always take a small amount of lip gloss, or we can take a little dab of castor oil, just like this, and just a slight bit right in through the middle, not all over the place, all right? Not all over the place. Then take a tissue, just like this, and then blot to pull away the excess so that you have shine right on the bruise area. And then to further accentuate the shine on the bruise area, you're going to take a powder puff, and what we'll do is with the powder puff, we're going to take a small amount of what we call here medium. This is my medium powder, just like this, a little bit of medium powder, and I'm going to pat around the bruise to further dull the skin so that the bruised area where I put the oil is going to pop out even more. All right, just like that. Now, if we wanted to do a few cuts in this, some very, very fast cuts, all we do is, again, take, let's say we wanted to do a cut through here like this. You just do some fast cuts like this, like that, with a black pencil, and using a long out-of-furrow brush, we're going to take and apply the blood right here to the area where we've just put the cuts. And these, of course, are simulated cuts just using an eyebrow pencil. These are fast and very easy to do, and you just have to use a lot of finesse. Use a long out-of-furrow brush so that you get, you know, your blood on very, very thin where you want it thin, and a little heavier where you want it a little heavier. Okay, and for instance, right here we can put a little more, and you can dot it also. And it can be dotted like this, see? Okay, just like this. Then make sure that this is coming out like this. You can do a couple light scratches right here. Okay, and if you want, you can make it a little more aggravated right in the center, just like this, by adding just a slight bit more to the center where the cut is supposedly a little more wide. And you use the brush on its side like that. See? And you can rotate the brush, roll the brush, just like this. You can roll it. You can just take it and lay it right there. If you lay it down like that, the point of the brush is going to create a very sharp edge. And you can always take and drag that edge out like this on both sides. Okay, so you have some real quick, effective looking cuts on the arm. Now, if you wanted to increase the effectiveness, or let's say the depth of each of these, we can take the same brush that we just used, and I'll take a little bit of yellow creative color, and I'm going to take the excess of the yellow creative color off on my tissue like that, and I'm just very, very lightly going to just put a small amount right along the very edge, like this, right along the edge of the cut. Just a tiny bit, right along the edge. You can even dot this on. You can even dot it so that it gives a kind of a yellowish lymph highlight. All right, and a couple more little bits of blood right here. I see another little cut right here. And just like this. Just like this. Another one right here. Now, you can do this also with the tattoo inks. And if you use the tattoo inks, obviously, you know, they're going to stay and they're going to last. You know, the Stay Color. Matthew Mungle has a product that he calls Stay Color that can be used for the same purpose. And if you use the Stay Color, what you're doing is you're putting the blood pattern in, and then throughout the day you can follow that pattern. You can refreshen the blood simply by taking a tissue, and you dampen the tissue. You can take a small amount of Evian water, like this, small amount of Evian water, put it on a tissue, just like that, put it right on the tissue like that, and then you lay it onto the area where the blood is, and you pull it away. Or you can actually, the reason for using the water is because the blood at that point, the liquid blood has become dry. So the water that is held in the tissue will soften the blood, reactivate the blood, and actually permit you to remove the blood, right? And then you can take another tissue, lay it over it, you lay it right over it, and pull it away, and there will be no more blood on there. Then you can take and reactivate it by putting more of the fresh blood onto it, all right? So, you know, there's so many different ways, and as you go along during the day, you can actually reactivate the dried liquid blood by just adding a little water to it to reactivate it instead of adding more blood to it, all right? So there you have a body bruise, you know, it's fast, it's easy. There's purple in there, there's red in there, there's blood color, there's some cuts. You can see the blood beginning to come out of the cuts slightly there. And, you know, you look at it and you make sure that you've been neat and clean, and any area where you might have gone and gotten a little makeup where you don't want it, you just go over with a little 70% alcohol. And then remember, when you're working on the skin, use 70% alcohol. Don't use 99% alcohol straight, especially if they have sensitive skin. Now, occasionally you may need to use 99% alcohol prior to the application of certain types of prosthetic applications so that you dry the skin thoroughly before you apply the prosthetic appliance. But normally, what I like to do is take a small amount of 70% and mix it with 99%, or I use 91% alcohol, all right, which is able to be purchased over the counter and to use the skin, because the 91% is sufficient enough to be able to degrease the skin, and but it's not going to in any way cause sensitivity, all right, or dryness. All right, so there you have it. There's some body bruises right here in the makeup department of MUA TV Studios in Orlando, Florida. I'm Joe Blasco.